You're listening to the MotorMouth.
Hello. You guys are the best, man. You guys are insane, hilarious, and the best stuff I've ever seen.
That's right, Chris and Ray.
MotorMouth.
Can I win anything? I got through. I can't believe I got through.
Well, I'm glad you guys are around because I didn't even know you existed.
Hey, how are you, MotorMouth?
This is one of those days, nothing to do, so I figure why not spend it with a couple of nobodies.
MotorMouth.
You also have my picture up on the webpage.
Boy, you taught me something about that car.
Why must you ask such difficult questions?
MotorMouth.
I don't know too much about motors.
Do I come running into your show?
We love you guys that have these shows.
Our trained staff of 2 will help.
Is this that jerky car show that I listen to? Oh, you distributed capital. Am I on the 14 condenser?
Quite frankly, there are better things to do with your time.
Trying to dial the phone with transmission fluid all over me.
So I finally got a chance to listen to you guys streaming. I'm in a good mood. I'm happy.
Yeah, I want to know what is wrong with my car.
I haven't even called my own mechanic back, but why don't I ask you?
But you guys are pretty special guys.
MotorMouth.
Must be a motorcycle thing, because I'm not familiar with that.
Yes.
Let's just think right now, Murphy's Law, what's going to go wrong? Is the board going to explode? Is the mic going to drop? Is my phone going to drop? I love live radio. I just have it just fun with you guys.
There are answers, sometimes correct ones. We may have them.
MotorMouth Radio, 90.3 FM, WHPC.
MotorMouth.
This is MotorMouth Radio, your one-hour automotive talk show. And now, here are your MotorMouths, Chris Switzer and Ray Guarino.
All righty, you need a crummy automotive talk show to help take care of a crummy running vehicle, right? Well, you found it. This is MotorMouth Radio, your one-hour automotive talk show. Look around, take a look around, see who's talking funny, who's got the weird Long Island accent. Well, if you hear some weird accent like, there's something wrong with my car, then you're in the listening area here at MotorMouth Radio. I'm Chris Switzer, and of course, we can always follow those crumbs from that crummy radio show right to the shop bench, where we'll find Ray Guarino. How are you, my brother?
Crummy?
You are crummy, aren't you?
Yeah, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, you're full of crumbs. Come on, look at you. You're living the dream.
Yeah.
You are living the dream. You have the life of Riley. You provide. You take care of things. You are a producer extraordinaire. You are a pinnacle of society. You do everything right. Damn it.
Yeah, and then I have to break my schedule to come here. So,
How was the week that was?
It was busy, very busy. Doing a lot of stuff. I'm in the middle of. I got a carburetor job in this week, which you don't get too many of them these days. One of these babies, a Rochester 2GC, as it were.
Ooh, you find that on any sort of given price of product?
This was on a 1964 Olds Vista Cruiser with a 330.
Oh.
Now these things, I have a big armful of these things in my house as spares.
Mind you, we're on BondLive.tv/MotorMouth Radio, and if you can see that, you'll know that you click on the MotorMouthRadio.com to the little blue bar under our name that says, watch us.
So I don't necessarily know why I saved a bunch of 2 barrels, because the 4 barrels I saved could be worth something to somebody.
Because that multi-carbureted dream engine you were looking for today.
Well, no, that one has its own 2 barrels. I have 2 tri-power setups that have the correct 2 barrels. But yeah, you wouldn't use these because for a quick little carburetor lesson, the throttle blades don't shut off at either. They air bleed to let the car idle. So if you use those in the tri-power setup on the ends, they'll just be dumping gas on the ends where you don't want to.
Oh, that's good.
And that's why guys set them up with these and the car will run right. Get this junk off of here. Right. Okay. Anyway, this job came in from a customer I've had in the past. He's a current customer. I've done a few other cars for him. It was good for him. It's real nice stuff. And I haven't even made a kit for this carburetor.
Now,
I figured the day would come where it would be hard to find the actual carburetor because there's a landfill, scrap them and all. And that's why I guess I saved an armful of them, but I didn't think it'd be that hard to find a kit. I need a 385C high-grade kit. I have Joe D on it. Joe D is my pit bull on the case, because I went back and said, Joe, can you help?
You have to rely on the man in the cloud.
And he went to a warehouse out of state, no good. Now we're looking somewhere else.
The man in the clouds is very busy, fighting the universe, lightning bolts and
the rednecks.
Yeah, sending down these swords of fire onto people.
Yeah.
Yes, and you come in there and go, he's way too busy.
Well, Joe, like most productive guys, Joe is highly effective when he's busy. And like, if you had nothing to do, he probably couldn't do anything because I'm saying that out of love and respect because I know that I'll use myself. I'm not putting myself in Joe's class, but I'm saying if I'm doing a couple things and you give me something else to do, I'll just process it in.
Always give the job to the busy person.
Yeah.
Never give the job to the guy doing it.
That's my point. And I looked online for saying I can get a kit online, but I don't. Everything looks great online because they clip pictures from other places and put them up there. But not knowing the quality of the kit, I want to get something that's going to be very custom here. I want to give the guy the right stuff. But Joe came over to give me the carburetor with his son, and he happened to see, he was following along with I actually. Last time he saw it, I wasn't driving it. Hey, it's on the road. Of course, now I have it up on 4 jack stands in the garage, of course, because I ripped the master cylinder out of it to redo the brakes. And what does he do? He did a Christian modified.
He jampered under the car.
He dove right on his knees, and with the car in the jack stands, it wasn't hard now because it was up a couple of feet.
Yeah.
Dove right under and started looking around.
Did the tuck and roll.
Yeah, he was doing the cat in the back window. Hey, this is nice. What you got? Oh, look at this. Right, what's that? And that's the car guy. You're talking to a real car guy when they will get under your car.
When they drop to the ground.
Right. And you know what? I would do. I have done the same thing.
You've done it to my cars and laughed out loud.
I've done it for specific reasons, and I've done it. Well, one of the specific reasons I may do it for is someone tells me they have a certain component. Check it out. Okay, granted. But I'll do it on a car that hasn't been said about because that'll give me the tell. Like if upstairs looks nice, the interior's done, the paint's buffed within an inch of its life, and and they got all the pink braided hose line, a lot of attention paid to detail. And then you look underneath and you see everything is rusty or scaly. Okay, the guy, he's not really a car builder.
You mean if you get those big chrome mufflers and you hang a rusty bracket to it, does that trip something up?
So that was the fun. And I hope Joe, he's in much better shape than I, but his knees were.
The car guys are not young anymore. It's most of
not the ones I know.
Not the ones in our demographic. That's for sure. So we have an open phone, but we do have a guest. That's right.
Yeah, we should have Eric Clayton from Edelbrock Corporation. Speaking of carburetors.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the director of advertising for Edelbrock.
And he'll probably say he's gotten rid of all those carburetors 6 years ago, David. Why would you possibly ask me?
Actually, no, I could get them for some of the Edelbrocks that are on my car. But let me mention before we get started, we have there's a show this weekend. It's from our very own Centurion Cruisers, Frank and us guys. The Police Surgeons Benevolent Association Car Show, sponsored by the Centurion Cruisers. It's Sunday the 14th at St. Anthony's High School, your favorite place to say.
St. Anthony!
It's 275 Wolfville Road in South Huntington, New York, or Huntington, we should say. And it's going to, all proceeds benefit the families of fallen officers William Lou and Rafael Ramos. I'm going to be out there.
You are?
I have to go in the morning because I talked to our good buddy Billy Velvet.
Hey, Billy Velvet!
I put out the bat signal to ask about somebody who could do a reputable repair on my floor in my car. It covers a hole maybe that I had to make the transition. So Bill hooked me up with a guy who you'll remember the cars. This guy has 2 cars that go to the Malibu show. He's got a white 59 Corvette gasser.
Yes.
And a 63 Tempest gasser.
Yes.
He built them both.
Oh. So he's the guy that got the mill out.
And Steve, we had a long conversation the other day, and he's going to be going to the Cruiser show, so I want to get out there to get a little FaceTime with him. And we're going to talk about it. He'll do this at his home shop. And he said, listen, I'll look at the car. I'm not going to promise you anything. When you look at the car, and if it's over my head, he goes, I'm going to tell you no.
So you bring him to go down to the Cruiser show?
No.
No.
I have a master cylinder. I can't stop.
Come on, you can put a master cylinder in the car in the next 45 minutes.
If I had one, but now my master cylinder got mailed back to Willwood in California for evaluation. So I will not have it by Sunday. No, I'll drive something else. And really, I'm going out there. I'll support the company, but I want to meet Steve.
Yeah, that's cool.
That show is on Sunday. Check it out. It's going to be big.
It's great going to the Centurion Cruiser show. There's a good chance I'll be doing the show. So
no, I'm going to go. I did it a few years ago. I was out there in the morning, and then I came in to do this.
Yeah. Ray called from the road in the Fiat saying, I'm doing 80 miles an hour. I'll be there in a minute.
You're right. I did do that, but that was back when Mike and was on the show. That was when I went out to West Hampton to pick up the carburetor and intake and a bunch of other parts of the Fiat. And I was coming back at about 85 miles an hour. That's a long time ago, my friend.
Yes, it was.
Hey, remember our caller Tom had asked us on Thursday, Sunday, I'm sorry.
Let's see if I remember you.
He asked us about a quarter-mile, 8-mile conversion.
Yes, you guys had it out in the last portion of the program, which you by chance can hear on MotorMouthRadio.com on the download. But yeah.
Okay, there's a conversion factor, and it was, I didn't want to misquote it, so I didn't say it, but it's 1.56 conversion factor. NHRA uses 1.6. So you basically take
a slide rule out for this.
A calculator will do it.
An abacus.
You take your 8-mile time. So in this case, Tom had said well, actually, he wanted to go a quarter mile to 8. This chart goes 8 to 40. If you saw that a car had done, let's say 8.4 seconds in 8 miles.
So by chance, double that. 16 points.
Right. But it's not a factor of double. It's a factor of 6. It becomes 13.1. So that's the factor. And he said it caused the 12 seconds in the quarter. If we go down the chart, we can find the 12:01. And I said it would be slightly more than half.
Slightly south of Secaucus.
It's 7.7 seconds.
Oh.
It's the 8-mile conversion. So you can find these things all over the place. They make little wallet ones for all the rules.
Dandy wallet ones.
And then you know what the conversion is. Yeah, of course at the track, the timers can go. There is no conversion. It just gives you a good time.
Oh, let's go to the phones. Let's go to the phone. How you rolling with the MotorMouth?
Hey, what's happening, guys?
Is this Vic?
This all Vic.
What's up, Vic?
Hey.
How are ya?
What size master you got in your goat? An 1 1/8?
No, it's a 7/8 inch.
Oh, all right. I got an 1 1/8. You wanted to borrow it.
That's way too big.
You stopped the hell of a lot slower.
Yeah, I went through. Well, that's the problem. I was stopping kind of slow as it was. I was mushy. Yeah, I went through Willwood and with the system I'm using, which is mechanical disc brakes in the front and drums in the rear, they want a 7/8 inch bore because of the pressure that it develops.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of times they would go with an inch. A lot of guys use an inch. It's more volume but less pressure. So,
right.
And I think that master you have in your car is also a 7/8 inch bore in your 53 Ford.
No, that's a 79 to 81 Mustang. I think it's an inch. I forget. I got to call the guy up.
The reason I say is because I looked online for 7/8 inch bore masters production, OEM masters, and a Mustang part came up.
That's 6971, I believe.
Okay. I have it written down at home. I don't remember. Right? Maybe that's what Vic's got.
Yeah, I got more than I need.
Good. Well, that's always a good thing.
And I got a new one coming next week.
What's that?
So something. Well, I had too much grass to mow, so another car's coming.
Okay. Oh, you found it. You just uncovered it under the weeds.
Not just the master cylinder, a whole entire car attached to it.
Yeah.
It's a sickness thing.
Well, the 53's going into the paint shop in a couple days.
What color are you painting it?
Hot rod black with blue flake roof and quarters.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, that blue flake roof is gonna complement that interior beautifully.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why. And then it gets blue flake tail sign.
Yeah, there you go. Excellent.
And give it the blue flake special price. So
That's right.
Do we dare ask what's coming into the camp?
You can come over and take pictures of it. I'm not going to say.
All right.
It's going to be real neat. It's something you wish your nomad would come.
Oh, okay. So that's safe to say it's not all in boxes. Like we're not going to unload a U-Haul.
No, it's all around my yard and my garage, actually.
So it's like a dismembered dream.
Yeah, basically, it will have a 4-speed.
Excellent.
I can tell you that.
Very, very good.
Yeah, and I will launch it at about $8,000. The brakes on. So.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Still listeners got a big block Chevy dual quad intake. I need one.
Ah, okay.
Oval port preferably, but I'll go with the rectangle port.
A medium rise tunnel ram. What size you looking for?
Not an X-Ram would be great, but it's so hard to find.
The X-Ram, yeah. If you can find that, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, not the cross ram. Well, somebody got a cross ram, I'll take one of them too, but I prefer an X ram.
So you want something medium rise. You're not looking at a tunnel ram.
No, I want to keep this under the hood.
Gotcha. And you know what? Depending what it's going under the hood of, like I know on a 55 Chevy, you could put a tunnel ram under the hood and it flows it. Yeah.
Yeah, but this all fit in the back of that 55 Chevy.
Okay. Oh, geez. This is going to be real fun.
Yeah, Ranger Will Robinson.
Yeah. So how did you end up acquiring this fine road construction?
I've been looking at this car for 5 years.
Yeah.
Not for sale.
Is it somewhat local then?
Yeah, it'll be in my backyard. That'll be real local.
Was it a local car when you laid eyes when you first laid eyes on it?
People pass it every day but didn't realize it.
Right.
And I looked online. I found a twin car, but it was sold. I said, let me call this guy up. Just by chance, I had a delivery right by his shop. I go up there. He's taking the lifts out. I said, what's going on? He goes, I'm moving. I said, what's with the car? Right place at the right time.
Wow.
Yep. If I had waited another couple of days, would have been crushed.
Oh. Talk about perfect time.
Yep.
All right,
yep.
Vic, we got to run.
Kind of like the rhythm system. Perfect timing.
Yes. So we got to let you go because we have our Edelbrock guest trying to call in.
Yeah,
He's getting busy.
I'm getting you in Spanish right now. I'm in College Point. So.
All right, good.
Nice.
See?
So see you later.
All right, bye.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right.
I was Vic actually explained to me that you were in the car.
I'll hear it on the replay. We
Yes,
got
you
Eric
will.
trying to call and he's getting busy signals.
Explained how we acquired this fine road machine that you'll probably be hearing more about right here on MotorMouth Radio. Oh, but first, we will be talking to Eric Blakely, the Director of Advertising for the Edelbrock Company. But also, you know it's time for the MotorMouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour, gang. And here we go. Drivers who drive with all the windows down. That's right, you old-timers. You like to see that toothpaste flopping in the breeze in weather like this. You're part of the MotorMouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Keep it where you got it, because we'll be talking to Eric Blakely from Edelbrock Company. Hold on.
The MotorMouths will be right back with your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440.
WHPC 90.3, the voice of Nassau Community College, is looking for individuals, businesses, charities, or organizations in our local and global community that would like to donate to support our radio station. Whether you listen locally or online, here's how it works. Go to our webpage at ncc.edu/WHPC and click Donate Now. Or, if you prefer, you can send a check to the NCC Foundation, Nassau Community College, 364 Rice Circle, Garden City, New York, 11530. In the memo of your check, write WHPC Donate Now. This message was brought to you by the radio voice of Nassau Community College, WHPC, streaming online at ncc.edu/WHPC.
Got a car question? Give the MotorMouths a call at 516-572-7440.
Alrighty, hold on to those phones because we have on the line Mr. Eric Blakely, the Director of Advertising for the Edelbrock Company. Eric, welcome to MotorMouth Radio.
Hey, thank you, guys.
Hey, Eric, how's it going? This is Ray. And you just spoke to Chris.
Good. How you guys doing?
Oh, very good. We're kind of shaking it out and having a heck of a show already. We're talking about all sorts of crazy stuff. But carburetors was actually one of those things we're talking about, so it segues nicely with what you got.
Yeah, absolutely. We sold quite a few carburetors.
I was just saying, I have two of them on one of my cars right now. And I was talking about the well, I might as well start here. It's a good place in Denny. The problem we have trying to find carburetor rebuild kits these days. And I don't know, do you guys address that problem at Edelbrock?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a rebuild kit for all of our carburetors, which that's interesting. It's one of those items that they're not super expensive, so you would think that there'd be a lot in the marketplace, but a lot of our unfortunately a lot of our sales chain, they might look at it like it's not a big money item. But we do sell them. We were selling them. I should double check. We were selling them on our website for a while.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we sold quite a few because me personally, I spent my fair amount of time on eBay looking for stuff. There's a ton of our old carburetors on eBay, and you can get a pretty good deal. I think you get a pretty good deal, and then you buy a $20, $30 rebuild kit, it's like a brand new carburetor.
Absolutely. And the Edelbrock stuff is, you know, I've been rebuilding these things for a long time. They're very easy to do. They're really easy. I think the thing that I've seen people get hung up with the most is doing the float adjustments, because you have two floats on the one arm. But if you just spend a little time and don't rush it, you can really affect a nice repair on this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're right. That's probably the most complex thing there, or not complex, but just it's.
Yeah, problematic, I guess.
Yeah, and it's hard to kind of explain. I know we have a video that addresses it. And using a drill bit's kind of the easiest way to do it. You do it that way. But yeah, that is probably the most sensitive thing. Everything else is drop in and go. And that's what we like about our carburetors. We try to keep. When Vic took over the AFB design, you know, that's what we wanted was simplicity. You know?
Sure. And I'll tell you from experience, I usually don't use the drill bit method. I usually use I have a couple of different float gauges or height gauges that I use. But this time I said, let me use the drill bit method. Finding the correct size was the biggest problem. I think it's 21/64.
Yeah.
90. It's like you have to have a letter and a really good fractional set of drills, which I do have, but I don't use that set that often.
So I guess you can't use the Roofer's nail.
No. So
not recommended.
No. So what's new over at Edelbrock these days? Tell us about what's new and exciting.
Yeah, we got a lot of really new stuff going on. I mean, we're kind of in that mode right now. We're getting ready for it's already beginning of summer. We're getting ready for the end of the year with the SEMA show and the PRI show coming up. So we're already kind of internally here. We're deep into the new product mode, but also trying to bring some products that we maybe spoke about last year. Really early, making sure we're going to have those at the shows this year. So it's some really exciting stuff. I mean, we're working on a supercharger kit for the Z06, the 2015 Z06.
Like it needs it?
Well, you know what? It's interesting because when I get new product proposals across my desk as part of management, that one really, when I looked at it, I was like, why are we doing this? It's already supercharged. But then when you look at it, GM, they're in the tough spot of, as an original equipment, they have a lot of restrictions on hood clearance, stuff like that. But we don't have that in the aftermarket. We don't have to worry about that. So unfortunately for them, and I say unfortunately, they had to go with a smaller rotor group than we use for our rotors. So therefore, they're kind of pushing those rotors to the limit at 650 horsepower, where we can go with the standard rotor we have for our regular kit. And I know Lingenfelter's already pushed the car well into 700s with that setup, with cam and exhaust as well. But so when we looked at it, we kind of went, well, you know what? Maybe there's an opportunity. Maybe there's a guy that wants that, that next notch, that next step up more. And for us, it's the same kit as we essentially have on the C7, the standard C7. There's a few tweaks they made. We do have to do some tooling changes to get it to fit, but not too dramatic. When you look at the cost to make that kit, just kind of make a variance of your current kit to make that. Why not? See what happens. It makes that car. I'm sorry?
It's all bolt on. It all can get under the hood.
Yeah, exactly. It fits under the hood. I mean, we're just a little bit tighter. I mean, I think sometimes we have to. I'm not sure yet. They haven't really put one on. They got one on, and we're testing the dyno, but I don't know if they have to cut the blanket or not. Sometimes it's one of those things you got to do, cut the hood liner, or stuff like that. But we'll have to see. But I mean, you know what? For a guy that wants to go over 700 horsepower, wants to try to make that beast that it already is even more, go for it. That's what we try to do. We try to supply consumers with the options.
That guy's not going to be worried about a little less sound insulation.
No, he's not.
And I got to say, the new E-Force Enforcer supercharger in black is a blower after my own heart.
Isn't that cool? We kind of did that. That was about, I think it was a year and a half ago, actually. It was before last year's SEMA. They SEMA before that. 2 years ago, we had got one in, and just out of curiosity, a bunch of guys like, hey, what if we black powder coated that? So we literally just sent one out, got it back, and put it on the engine stand, and everybody just went, oh, yeah. We got to do that, And then as soon as we took it to SEMA that year, we didn't even have a part number for it. We just took it as a display motor, put it out there, and, man, we got so many good responses and feedback. They were like, okay, we got to do this. And I'm with you. I love that. If I were to buy one, that's what I'd buy.
I have to ask you, I purchased a kit for my car, a whole top-end kit that's all Edelbrock components, the dual-quad intake and carburetors. And then, of course, like a year later, you guys came out with the black carburetors.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what I would have wanted if I had a choice. What kind of coating is that on that carburetor that stands up to the powder coat?
It's just a powder coat. Yeah, okay. It's your regular standard powder coat. It's actually the same powder coat we use on all of our water pumps and intake manifolds. That way, and accessories, we have some valve covers, that same look. That way it matches. It's a complete look, and you can put it all on, it's all going to look the same.
I have to say, I've never been the chrome guy. I'm a chrome don't get you home kind of guy. I've always been like, paint it black. I like my stuff black and use chrome for access. But I kind of shudder when I see a company like Edelbrock doing this because it makes me think like, oh God, there's a lot more guys than me out there, and like I kind of like being in the shadows a little bit. And now I think I'm going to be a little more in the mainstream. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of become a big trend. I mean, we did it, just because we started getting requests. I mean, we have 4 display trailers across the U.S. that do shows, events, and as every weekend our guys do a report afterwards, and that's one of those things. We have a whole section in the report that says like questions asked of the trailer, and a lot of it is stuff that consumers want. And when we did the intake manifolds, we actually started out. We go back 6 or 7 years. We did a NASCAR exclusive kind of intake in that black powder coat just to be different, try something, and that's kind of what started. We had more people coming going, well, it'd be cool if I can get my FE intake in that same black. And we're like, well, all right. If you get enough requests, you go, why not? It's just an extra step for us, and it's not much of a step, with our local powder coater here. We don't do that in-house. And they just started growing from there, and all of a sudden it's like now we've got a lot of our popular intakes are available in that black powder coated finish. So we're just listening to the customer and just give people options.
Well, let me ask you this. I know you're not a powder coater, but I'll ask you this anyway. If I'm thinking about maybe in downtime over the winter, take my carburetors off, clean them in a carburetor solution, and neutralize them with water, and then would it be safe to powder coat carburetors that have been used? Do you have any information on that?
I don't see why not. I mean, as long as, like you said, as long as you get all the debris off it, cleaned up. There's certain surfaces that because we powder coat an in machine. Yeah. So you'd have to make sure you mask off the right surfaces, to make sure that you still got the right clearances and tolerances when you put everything back on. But I don't see why not.
Excellent. That may be a nice thing.
Eric, is there anything gone across your desk, like you were saying, that you just questioned yet turned out to be a good thing?
We see stuff like that all the time. I get quite a few new product proposals. You kind of go. It's interesting. Sometimes we'll get ahead of, like we're getting requests, a lot of requests for a Gen 3 Hemi cylinder head. And I remember seeing that proposal probably 2-3 months ago and going, really? There's a lot of requests for that. And then all of a sudden I go to a few events and I get guys coming up going, man, it'd be great if you guys made a head for this, and the Gen 3 Hemi. You're going to go, okay, so it's kind of neat to see that where internally we have a group of guys that always look at that as a hot new product. And then when you get that kind of validation in the field with somebody going, man, if you guys made that, I'd buy a pair. So we get a lot of unique stuff like that where you look and go like, all right, and then we also get quite a fair amount of requests that we would love to do, but we just can't justify. Like we get, it seems like nailhead cylinder heads and Y-block cylinder heads and intakes are a big request we're getting, but unfortunately for us, you look at the cost and the tooling, and then you talk to accounts, and the accounts are like, yeah, I got a few of those guys, but it's not enough to make it worth it, and that's and it's tough because we in a perfect world we love to make an intake for everybody and a cylinder head for everybody, but unfortunately we're still in the business. You got to go. Are we gonna get our money back? Is it worth doing? Yes or no? And it's too bad because like I said, we love to make that stuff for everybody. But
then again, right off your site, if you go to Vintage Kits, here's Edelbrock Vintage Manifold Carbs. It's for Chevy and Fords. And here we go, 6 1-barrels.
Yeah.
This is real old school stuff, and it's great to be able to. A lot of this stuff exists, and guys that sell it at swap meets get an arm and a leg and a fortune, and you don't know if it's going to be in really runnable shape.
Yeah.
But to be able to buy it new is so much nicer.
Yeah, we've done a lot of that stuff in the last few years. We're getting a lot of requests for the older stuff, and that, the X1, the Ram Log, we're getting a request for a while and decided, why not? And like you said too, you go to a swap meet or you look online and things are selling for like $2,000, or even like $1,500 just for the intake, not even with carbs. You kind of think, you go, wow, okay, we still have that tooling, and that's essentially what we did. Is we pulled that one. We actually pulled the tooling up, and we also had an original one in the museum here we have, and pulled that up. The engineers, 3D scanned it, and just kind of, try to make sure that, because we had to rework the tooling to make sure it stayed true to what it was at that for that time frame. And that's one of the ones that we brought up. And man, that's another one you put. If you put that out in the booth, or you put that out at a trailer display at an event, it gets tons of questions. Guys come by and go, wow, look at that. That's really cool.
Eric, I got tons of questions just for the fact that you have an Edelbrock museum.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that you went and got the tooling.
Well, look at the history of the company.
Took the dust off it and brought it back into service. That's
there's a lot
incredible.
of that stuff. We did that with a lot. When we brought back the Classic Series fin valve covers and air cleaners, we went dove into the museum and found some original parts, because that's stuff, too, that, it's amazing when you look back. And that stuff was hot in the 50s and 60s, and in the 70s and 80s, they essentially destroyed the tooling and said, oh, nobody's ever going to want this again. Come now, people want that look again, and so then you kind of go, hey, the manager goes, well, we can't keep tooling forever. And so then they go, well, how can we stay true to it? And we actually have just about every catalog from every year starting from 1938. So that's another thing, too, is our engineers will go back and do a catalog, look at the specs and look at, and go like, okay, here's what it was made for, and there's sometimes good enough photos where you get an idea, but if not, we do have we call it Vic's Garage, or it's Vic's Museum. It's where his private car collection is. But along the outer walls of the museum is a kind of a timeline history of intake manifolds from, the first slingshot that his dad made, all the way up to some of the current stuff that we do.
That is amazing. All that tells me is Vic Edelbrock and Ray Guarino have a lot in common. He never threw anything out.
Yeah, but he's got a lot cooler stuff than I do. And I have a lot of his stuff. But, I have to say that, like I said, on my own car, I bought this of a Pontiac, and it's a reproduction of the P65 dual-quad intake that was made back in the 60s. And this all came right out of the Edelbrock literature. And I read that and said, how can I go wrong if they're taking the original part? And I figured you did something like a 3D scan or whatever, and I'll tell you, it bolted right up. It fits perfect. There was no incompatibilities whatsoever.
Yeah.
And now it's in an Endura Shine finish. If you could speak to that a little bit, people ask me all the time, well, how do you get that thing to shine like that?
We want to take a quick break first, and then we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more and find out how the shine came to happen.
Good idea. Hang on, Eric.
Hang on, Eric.
All right.
We have Eric Blakely, the Director of Advertising for the Edelbrock Company, on the phone with us. Ray Guarino, I'm Chris Switzer. You can hear this show on Performance Motorsports Network. You can also hear it on iHeartRadio. Got a lot more coming your way right here on MotorMouth Radio. Keep it where you got it.
Your car not running right? Let the MotorMouths help you out at 516-572-7440.
WHBC Garden City, New York, the voice of Nassau Community College.
Join WHBC's Daily News Wrap-Up, weekdays at 4:30 p.m., bringing you a complete report of the day's news home and abroad, as well as sports, weather, and many other informative features.
We're Long Island's FM alternative.
Got a car question? Give the MotorMouths a call at 516-572-7440.
Hold on to those phones, because we have on the line Eric Blakely, the Director of Advertising for the Edelbrock Company, talking all about the exciting products from Edelbrock. And I'm going to throw it over to Ray here.
Yes, Eric, we left off talking about Endura Shine.
Yeah, Endura Shine finish. It's our exclusive finish that we have for a lot of our intake manifolds, for some of the carburetors as well as water pumps too, and actually some of our accessories. We do some valve covers and air cleaners with that same finish. But it's a really unique finish. It's they call it vacuum metallizing, where essentially it's like a painted on finish. So you strip the part down, or in our case it's cast raw, and then we take it from there, and it's got it goes through a couple of coatings, just like a paint job on a car. It's got like a primer coat, and it's got like that metal coating that goes on and gives it that really bright, kind of polished, simulated look, and then it gets a clear coat on top of that. So what's unique about it is it gives the look of like a polished finish. It's actually brighter to me. It's got more of a warmer tone to it. And then, but the great thing about it being clear coated is it cleans up with soap and water. So it's got that kind of, you treat it. We have actually a sheet that we put in when we sell it, the intake, that kind of tells the owner, hey, FYI, don't treat this like your polished part. Don't go start polishing. If it gets a little dirty, don't go hit it with a buffer. All you take is just soap and water and clean it up. And you can hit it with anything you can use for like body paint would work fine too, to kind of polish it up or take out a scratch or anything like that. But yeah, it's a really unique finish, and it keeps that look for quite a while. It doesn't tarnish. And like I said, being painted surface, if you get oil leak, it doesn't. There's no chance of staining. It's on a clear coat.
Especially on the intake, typically back in the day we had a raw intake, and if you had a little bit of a gas leak or a little oil leak, it stained it. It always looked disgusting, so it was hard to clean off. So, yeah, I thought that was fantastic. It's nice to see that a company as old as Edelbrock still looks to the future and does things in a forward-thinking manner, which leads me to ask, how old is the Edelbrock Corporation?
We've been, I think we're in our 70th 78th year now, so they've been around since 1938. So, yeah, and it's the fun part about this job for me is the history of the company and the history of the industry. You know, when you sit down, you know, I get quite a few opportunities to sit down with Vic and to hear his perspective and to hear about his dad and to hear about, you know, how all these guys started. They didn't start out doing this to make money. They just did it because they were out racing and want to go faster. And then out of that came this whole industry of the aftermarket. And it's really great.
Eric, is Vic a storyteller?
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes you can't get him to stop. But it's great though because you learn a lot. I mean, I've learned a lot over the years about just talking with Vic and hearing stories about, you know, I mean, he's still close with guys like, you know, Ed Escuderian and George Barris, and there's a lot of these guys that Vic still talks to, and they hear the story behind something that, you know, you might have heard, you know, I shouldn't say the official story, but then you hear kind of like, well, I remember when, and then, you know, it just kind of leads from there. And it's really neat. I mean, that's the stuff that you can't, you know, it's like a history book. You can't get enough of it because, you know, that's what built this industry.
You know, it's funny. We've had the pleasure to have George Barris in our studio a few times over the past years, and I've had friends say to me, you know, I was hoping to get like a tip or a trick, or like, what do you think he was going to tell you? Like, you know, infuse his you know, regardless, my dopey friends would say this, but you know, and they said, but then I hear him talking about he's using his mother's, you know, kitchen knobs to make a grill. I'm like, well, yeah, that was like 1953. Right, it was humble beginnings. It was a great story.
Oh yeah, he's great. He comes to our car show every few years, and he's great. I remember walking the show with him for a while. You know, both looking at cars, and he still takes a camera with him, and he gets into. If he sees something in a car he likes, he's in there taking pictures, and you know, and I don't know if he's still as active as he used to be in customizing cars, but he still thinks like that. You know, he's still like, oh, that's cool. I could do that. You know, and it's great to see and talk to him because he's that guy. For George's age, he's still. I mean, he moves around. Him and Gene Winfield's another one that right. Yeah. You see that guy? He's not slowed down whatsoever. No.
I saw him working at a big show just last year even, and you know, doing some work with stripers and whatnot. And he's running the booth. He was actually selling T-shirts. Whatever had to be done, Gene was doing it. You know? Yeah. It's amazing. These guys, God bless them all. It's great. It's the history of our sport.
Well, I think those guys, you know, they're all just like everybody here at this company is. We're enthusiasts. You know, we do this because we get to play with cars and get paid. You know, I mean, that's, you know, I was having this conversation with my daughter the other day. She asked, do you love your job? I said, I love my job. I said, where else can I go to work and see, like we have a part of our building we call a toy barn, and it's essentially our R&D area. And I go, where else can you go in there and see a 2015 Mustang, 2015 Z06, 2014 C7, there's a 72 Nova, there's a 68 Monte Carlo, there's, you know, these are all R&D vehicles. I mean, where else can you walk out there and see, you know, this breadth of vehicles, and then also too, hey, you know what? We need you to go take this supercharged Z06 for a ride. Let us know what you think, because you're the marketing guy. You got to write the copy for it down the road. Like that, I love that part of my job.
Yeah.
You know, that's the fun part of the job.
How did you get to such a what would you say, a position of prominence? Provenance.
You know, it's interesting. Before Edelbrock, I'd worked in direct marketing and database marketing, and this kind of company I was with had moved to the Midwest. I'm a Southern California kid, so you know, I was kind of looking for something, and I was working through a headhunter, and they said, "Hey, you familiar with the name Edelbrock?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." Mm-hmm. They said, "You know, are you interested in interviewing here?" I'm like, "You bet." So I came down, and being an enthusiast, you know, I've worked in every aspect of this industry, from paint and auto body. You know, some friends used to do stuff like that. You know, so for me, I've always been involved in it. So I got the opportunity, and you know, I tried hard. I worked my butt off to get this job. You know, and then from there, just kind of, you know, I mean, I just, when you're an enthusiast, I think it's easy to do it. In the sense
shows,
of,
right?
Yeah,
the
you know,
passion shows.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I may not have, when I came here, I wasn't doing media buying, and I wasn't writing a lot of copy, but at the same time, when you really enjoy doing it and you've driven the vehicle, it's easy to write the description for that product. But here's why it's great, because I drove it. You know, mm-hmm. I know what the car felt like in stock form, and I know what it felt like with the supercharger, and so it, you know, I just kind of worked really hard, and I've always been fascinated, and I've always been fascinated in the marketing aspect too, of how do you talk to your customers, you know, how do we take that, you know, engineering speak, and then, you know, how do we make it to where it all makes sense to all of us, and it also, you know, communicates what's great about the product.
How do you do it? What is there a style? Is there a form? Is there formula or something?
You know what I've done? It's interesting. We have a document that the engineers write. It's essentially a summary of the product. And I'll start there. But truthfully, in the last few years, what works for me is actually sitting down with that engineer and doing just like a magazine interviewer, or like you guys do. You just sit down and I start asking questions, and I'll read the document first to get a gist for the application and features and benefits, but then really sit down and go, what was your idea on the design? What were you really going for? And because maybe it's stuff that's not on that document. If it's a one-page document, you can't put everything on. So a lot of times I'll just schedule some time with them and just start grilling them just like a consumer would, and start to kind of find those neat little nuggets of information that hopefully when I write the description of the catalog, that's what gets somebody excited about it, or it answers their question and they go, yeah, that's perfect, that's what I need.
Or if you speak to the guys that I typically see at the cruise nights and car shows, they open the hood and they just point and go, whoa, big, shiny, fast, good, like them. It's like, okay, good. That's like a double thumbs up. Good.
Yeah, exactly. But also, too, you'd be surprised. We have a tech line that operates Monday through Friday, and those guys, they get a lot of tech questions. But at the same time, too, they get we have a few guys out there, and I think they're old retired mechanics, and those guys that get out there and they'll read the catalog and they'll find something that's not right, and they'll say, you know what, this application also fits this 1 year or this 1.5 year of a model with that engine, and you go, okay, thanks, absolutely. And you rely on your customers to kind of, because there's those guys that they're hardcore enthusiasts. They're the FE fanatics. They're the Hemi fanatics. And those guys know, and man, our catalog isn't perfect. We know that. We miss stuff because we have Ford enthusiasts and Chevy enthusiasts and Hemi enthusiasts, but we don't have everything covered. Especially when you get down into like you, the Pontiac guys. There's some special and unique stuff that, or even Oldsmobile or
BOP, Buick Olds Pontiac. We've always been the bastard children of the automotive world.
Yeah, we have quite a few consumers in that market that will call us to correct us on catalog lists, which is great.
It's almost like a badge of honor if you can call a company as prestigious, thank you, as Edelbrock and correct them.
No, yeah, and it's funny. I kind of every year we do a new products brochure for our 2 shows at the end of the year, and I take a lot of pride in when that thing gets out there. I wait to see if these guys come back and hit me with something I missed, and that's kind of what I use as my kind of did I do a good job or not? Is if those guys called and they found something, it's like, oh man, didn't get that one.
And if they do
it's a challenge.
If they do it in public, that's Eric's end of year roast.
That's right.
Right? Right. Eric, I'll tell you what, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, I want to ask you if I had the wherewithal, the wild hair, as it were, to convert my car from these brand new Edelbrock carburetors to electronic fuel injection, how might I go about it using your components?
Ooh, that sounds pretty extensive. Putting Eric to the test. Eric Blakely, the Director of Advertising for the Edelbrock Company, on the phone with us here at MotorMouth Radio. And we'll be coming right back. But first, the MotorMouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. If you like to drive in this weather with all the windows down, even in the rain, well, you're much better than we are. But if you like to drive all up and down the highways with that window open, all the windows open, you're part of the MotorMouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Keep it where you got it. Got a lot more coming your way.
We'll be back with answers to your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440. Oh, I should have said more than that.
You got the touch! Tune in every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. and hear a program unlike any other. Join me, host Justin Greenberg, as I play music that I promise you're not going to hear anywhere else, and some hits that you'll be singing along to with as well. It's Saturday Rock, Saturdays at 9 a.m. on 90.3 FM, WHPC, the radio voice of Nassau Community College in Garden City, New York.
Yeah. Have a question about your car or someone else's car? Then give the MotorMouths a call, 516-572-7440.
Hold on to those phones because Eric Blakely is online from the Edelbrock Company, talking all about the exciting products and the whole attempt on moving Ray's V8 from carburation to fuel injection. Can it be done? Will it be done? We'll find out right now. I'm just pushing away here.
Okay. Yeah, so I know that there's a big part of the website that's dedicated to that, the fuel injection stuff. And what would be intended? Just we're not going to get into the real nuts and bolts because we don't have enough time for that. But although I'd love to. But what would like if a consumer called and wanted to do that? In my case, I have two carbs, the dual plug system. What's entailed? What and how do you guys? What would you sell me to affect that?
You know, really, we've got a multiple systems. You know, kind of our entry level system would be our E Street EFI, which is a throttle body style, single barrel, single 4-barrel system. And that's kind of your entry level. It's affordable, it's easy to use, it's easy to install. You know, you don't have to move. In your case, you'd have to get a new intake manifold. You don't have a dual quad version of that. But you know, for most consumers, they got a 4150 style square bore intake. You know, it bolts right on, and it's really simple to install. It can be done all in the engine bay. You know, there's only the biggest thing is install an O2 sensor, and it can deal with the fuel system. There's some challenges there depending on how the vehicle is, but you know, really, it's a great entry level system. We've seen on average with that system, we've seen a 20 to 25 horsepower increase, and we've also seen guys have done mileage studies, and they see a 2 to 3 mile per gallon increase performance as well there too. You know, so that's kind of your entry level, and then beyond that, it's what we call our ProFlow 2 systems, which are actually getting ready to launch a new version of that. Up pretty quick here, ProFlow 3. Now that's more of we call it a direct port injection. You know, so that's your fuel rails are involved, so that you got to remove your intake. It's a little bit more of a deeper install, a little more cost included. At the same time too, though, you see even more performance beyond that because now you're essentially injecting that fuel right into the runner. So it's a lot more efficient. We'll see an increase even beyond that of another 15, 20 horsepower in the engine mileage as well too, just because it's a really efficient way of getting that fuel just the right amount at the right time. So we have very different levels. It really depends on your commitment. You know, I mean, how much money. It's like anything, budget. You know, how much money you got. You know, and then also too, how much. I guess you would say, expertise wise. How comfortable are you? You want to pull off the intake and fuel system. That's where it really comes down to what the guys are going to do.
Very good. And I know if people visit Edelbrock.com, you see all this stuff. It's all on there. It's easy to find. You have everything laid out, nice pictures. It's really an easy site to navigate. Yeah, makes it one-stop shopping.
Well, thank you. We tried hard. We could have redesigned it last year. With the thing was hard to redesign it next year. There's a lot of information there, but it's all good stuff. It's, like we said, we pride ourselves in giving the consumers as much information they can have to make the best decision for them.
And then, of course, you also have, the air cleaner line, the valve cover line, all the accessory components, so to speak. So it's quite. I'm sure from 1938, it's quite a departure from the like what the stock would look like back then.
Oh yeah, even the catalog. The catalog back then was like I don't know. I think it was 12 pages or something. A couple intakes, and some small stuff. But now we're at 228 pages. It's packed tight. Wow. It's a lot of product.
Yeah. So is there any way that anyone can get a hold of you or get a hold of the company for any more information if they would need on these products?
Yeah, absolutely. We love, like I said, the people at the website. We have a toll-free number they can call as well. Every day we have a tech line, a dedicated tech line number as well as too. So if someone's got a tech dedicated question, they can call that line. But we have our standard 1-800-FUN-TEEP. That's our standard number, and that's you call in there and you can get routed to sales, tech, any kind of questions they've got.
I tell you, I did contact the tech guys because I had a question that I thought was, kind of going to be kind of obvious, but I felt kind of stupid for not knowing the answer. I said, well, let me call the tech guys. That's what they do. And the question was, on the dual quad setup, you should adjust your carburetor, the rear one that you run off of, with the air cleaner in place so that it's in the running condition. But there's no way to get to the adjusting screws with the air cleaner in place because they're right up against the back of the front carburetor.
Yeah.
With the air cleaner off, you can maybe get in there with a flex thing. So I called the tech line and I asked them. I thought maybe there was some, like a kit made to reposition it in the mixture screws or something. Again, I was kind of fantasizing, and the tech he kind of laughed and said, "No, we don't make anything like that." But so I said, okay, at least I know that I'm not crazy. I'm not missing something. It's just a matter of the architecture is just crowded out. But the tech guys were great, very, very courteous. Even though I asked what might have been a dumb question, he didn't really ask me too much.
Yeah, those guys are good. Those guys are. I always joke with those guys. They're the first line of defense. they take the tough calls, you know, because we try to make our products as trouble-free as we can. At the same time, you know, things happen. Stuff gets out. This is a manufacturing environment. We make mistakes, you know, not that many, you know, but it happens. So it's, you know, but also too, they answer quite a few just sales type questions. You know, quite a few questions. They'll get people a call and say, hey, I want to go from, like you just did, from carb ready to EFI. What all is it going to entail? Here's my engine combination. You know, what else am I going to need that maybe I'm not seeing on the website or in the kit? You know, so they do quite a few of that stuff. That's not, you know, not true tech where guys, you know, down carburetors broken, but just kind of inquiries.
Right, and I guess the guys in the tech line all have car backgrounds. They all kind of know. Because the more you know, if you've been out there wrenching on the stuff, you kind of, like you just said, with that conversion, it's probably not on the website, but yeah, you know what? You need a fuel tank that's going to have a sump in it. You're going to need an electric pump. You're going to go in tank, outside tank. All that stuff needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. And we have, a lot. We try to pull, our tech guys, we try to pull from speed shops and repair shops, you know, guys that've got that kind of experience. Yeah, we want that hands-on guy that does it. Essentially, he's on the phone, he's going to visualize it.
Right.
Try to talk to me, you know, all that. So.
Well, I think you guys are doing a fine job so far, and as I would expect. And Eric, I want to thank you for coming on with us, and I will we'll be in touch with you in the future. And you know, when new stuff comes out, we'd like to have you back on and talk about it, and keep us East Coast guys abreast of what you guys out there are doing.
Absolutely, I love to be on it and enjoy it.
Excellent.
Eric, thank you so much for the phone call. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon, Eric. Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. That was Eric Blakely, the Director of Advertising for the Edelbrock Company. You can hear, if you missed any of the interview, on MotorMouth Radio later on when the webmaster finally wakes up and goes and puts the show up on the website. Website's MotorMouthRadio.com. Check it out. It was not a good interview, Eric.
Yes.
Informative.
Yes.
That's exactly what he's talking about. Phone lines are open, 516-572-7440. And now I am going to follow up that fantastic interview, that very comprehensive, high informative interview with a rant. Uh-oh, it's time. The weather is warm, the breezes are many, the water is calm.
I get to it. What is it?
Why the heck are people putting their feet on the dashboard, for crying out loud?
You know.
What is wrong with you people? I don't want to see those McNuggets out on the dash. I'm sorry, it's the wrong position to be in a moving vehicle. What in the heck is wrong with y'all?
How about this? How about keep your eyes on the road, not on the window of the car next to you? What are you looking for? Like a quick flash, a peek? You're trying to get like a trucker's Benny?
Hairy, knuckly looking.
If you're looking straight ahead, you're not going to see that.
Let's go to the
I thought we were going to take a break. But
okay.
okay.
No, we took a break. Let's go to the
another one after that.
Hi, you're on with the MotorMouth.
What's up, guys? I tell you, you're right about those feet on the dashboard. They're going to be okay until that airbag blows off.
Exactly.
Then it'll be feet in the face.
Yes. Stinky feet in the face.
What's going on, Cliff?
What's going on, guys? A good guest, Edelbrock. Good company.
Yes.
You know? But just putting a shout out to your boy Pat again at Dial Transmission. He hooked a good friend of mine up with a crazy intermittent problem on a Toyota Sienna all-wheel drive van that he went to another local transmission shop I won't name in that same town, and they turned him away because they say it's too complicated, and they didn't feel like working on it.
Well,
like kind of funny.
And like Eric was talking about the techs, Pat does have some very good technical guys down there who can troubleshoot those problems, and that's what it takes.
He was good. It was an oddball thing. It was a van like 2009 with only 60,000 miles on it, and it turns out it was something, I don't know, something in the back that the clearance was just off, and a plate blew off from the inside internally, and it's pretty interesting. But I just wanted to, and I found him through you guys, so just wanted to shout out to him. He's a good guy.
Yes.
So Cliff, how's the road running going?
I hope to get it back any day now. It's at a buddy of mine's shop out east, Nick from Unique Performance, doing a couple of tweaking a few things up for me, and he's a good guy. I want to get him in maybe as a guest for you guys one day. He's got a nice shop out east that does a lot of Corvettes and muscle cars and stuff, and good guy, good young guy too. That's working on a lot of nice stuff.
I've been looking for you over at the Belmore Cruise Night. I saw a nice black Roadrunner, and I thought, oh, Cliff didn't paint this car. That's not it.
So Cliff,
no, I haven't been out there for a while. I was out there last year. It's actually a nice crowd again. You know, it went. I kind of felt like it kind of got out of hand a little bit a couple of years ago, and then it kind of got control of it again. And it seems like it's still a pretty good venue.
If I can give you an explanation, it's because the Chamber of Commerce kind of took over the event, and now they let people in. They charge you $3 to get in. And they monitor the lot, so when there's no spots, they don't let anybody else in. So you don't have cars driving around idling and causing a hazard in the lines of pedestrian traffic.
And that's great.
And I know, because I had to sit and idle for 15 minutes 2 weeks ago.
And that's what they're doing down in also, same thing on Tuesday nights in Oyster Bay, which I think is a really nice, another venue. And it's kind of run by the town, and I think the money goes maybe towards the fire department there or something. Whatever it is, it's a very minimal amount, like a few dollars, and it goes to a good cause, and they do a pretty good job of organizing it. Same thing, they kind of don't let in when it's crowded, and it's another nice crowd, and some nice cars down there.
Yeah.
And that's on Tuesday nights.
So, Cliff, with the empty garage, how are you handling the separation anxiety?
It's nice having the empty garage a little bit, I tell you. I swept it out the other day. I threw things out. You know, I don't got to tell Ray, because he doesn't throw anything out.
I'm in the middle now. I'm emptying my sheds. Believe me, I made a trip to the dump yesterday. You know what? Let me tell you real quick. And I told my wife, it's a big nerve.
You touched the nerve.
It's way exposed. I saved certain things that I knew were going to be worth money someday. They were hard to find. And now, because the shed leaked, I'm throwing them away because they rusted and just turned to crap. So much for all the hoarding mentality.
I think, Chris, Ray's got about $1 billion item there. He's got the back window. He's still got the back window from, what is that?
Yeah, it's under the pool deck. 71 Riviera.
71 Riviera.
I have a rear glass. I have a rear glass window for a 71 Challenger convertible too.
And you got to figure there's got to be somebody out there dying for that part.
Right.
You know?
I wish I could find him.
He's going to finance both of his children in college with it. I'm sure.
One's already done.
He's going to finance the other one.
Ray's got so much parts in his garage that if he had a garage sale, he could fund a complete rotisserie restoration on that GTO.
I'm sure.
It's a top-notch $100 an hour shop.
Look, will you tell the man? Tell the man.
You know,
Knock some sense into him.
And as I'm emptying the shed yesterday, I found three or four Challenger hubcaps. They were on. And I'm like, and I didn't throw them out because I figured, even though I put rally wheels in the car, and I was going to take them down and just toss them. I said, you know what? Somebody may want these things.
Ray, you need an eBay account manager.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Give them 10% of whatever they can sell. Believe me, you do well.
You got the job, Cliff. Let's talk.
Pay off the mortgage with that stuff.
See, I got to get someone I can trust. I trust you. Let's do it.
All right, fellas. Well, another good show.
Thanks, Cliff.
We'll talk soon.
See you.
Bye-bye. Amazing.
But he's right.
He's definitely one of our sergeant at arms here at MotorMouth Radio.
Here was something that I just mentioned to you before the show. This month I have 3 cars to get inspected.
Yeah.
And the reason was,
my going to be dancing.
Well, the Fiat's one of them, and I always wanted that done in the summer because that's when I drive the car. My Mazda's just the way, because I ended up buying it in May, so it ended up being June. But now my Pontiac that I haven't been driving has a June inspection, so there's 3 cars.
Wow.
Luckily, 2 of them are safety.
Right, the GTO and the Fiat.
And the Mazda is no brainer. You plug it in and I mean, they're easy to do. It's just a matter of getting to the station. And I like to spread it around. I go to different guys. You want to give the business around.
You definitely spread the business around.
I do.
That's why you're on this program.
Well, and I spread the word around too. I like to stop in and see what what do they do. Like, I'll give one of the cars to Tire Town. I'll go down and see our buddy Joe. Yeah, you know what? They do inspection.
I know which one you're going to bring them.
Okay, good, because I don't. I really don't.
Yeah, you do.
I haven't mapped it out yet.
You're not going to spin the big car service wheel like you do.
Sometimes I think about it. I do. Sometimes I think about where to bring what. This time I had
woods.
Yeah, this time I had nothing.
Okay. Well, we're going to see what's going to happen on Sunday, won't we?
Yeah, we have. I'll be reporting to how that Centurion Cruiser show is fleshing out. So I'm going to be there in the morning, right, and then I'll be here. So we'll see. I know it's going to be a great turnout. Frank was already saying they have a lot of all the flyers. He said, don't give out any more flyers. We gave out enough. We got plenty of interest in the show. So it'll be, as long as the day holds up, it'll be gangbusters. So
sounds good. All right, Ray Guarino, I'm Chris Switzer. This is MotorMouth Radio, and we're going to talk on Sunday. And of course, the talk right now, don't follow us home. See ya.
Bye.
From a town near Oyster Bay, Long Island, comes the show devoted to the music of Long Island's own Billy Joel. This is Piano Man on 90.3 FM, WHPC, Garden City, New York.